anti-drunk driver. Those moments changed my life. I left home having left my clothes on the floor because I was going to a meeting later that day. I had finished my cup of coffee and I left it on the side of my bed, and I didn't go back home for 3 years. In that 3 years, going through rehab, trying to teach you everything from scratch, because in the process of trying to save my life, they had to amputate my leg. So being an amputee took me to a place where, of course, unfamiliar territory. So teaching me every single thing. In that time, I was filled with resentment. I was filled with anger. I was filled with so many whys. Okay? Because I'm thinking, I created this perfect bubble. Why did somebody else come and enter this bubble? But of course, we know the world is like that. We're not isolated. We live in a world. And during my rehab, one of my doctors, fortunately, I say fortunately because he was a Christian. It's difficult to put science with religion. But on one of the visits, and I kept crying, I said, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this. My doctor picked up, I can't remember, a pen, a book, and he said, you see this? This is you. When you were hit, this happened to you. And he shook it violently. And he said, no amount of science can put you back the way God created you. And you need to learn to live with what has happened to you. So that was a moment that made me realize I need to start understanding. And still standing was actually a lamentation to God, because I did everything to be a good Christian. But of course, I know when you're going through something, the logic is not there to say God doesn't do barter system, whether you're good, you're bad. That is God. That is what grace is. But when you're going through a crisis, when you're going through some trauma, logic is thrown out of the window. So it was a lamentation to God, asking him why that had happened to me, why he allowed that to happen to me. And in the process, it gave me healing. I remember I'd write the book and I'd be crying, and my husband would walk in and say, for goodness sake, stop writing the wretched book. But he didn't understand that as I was writing, I was grieving my past life. And in grieving my past life, that was the beginning of my healing. And I say healing in terms of my emotion. So still standing, I wrote it, I'm not concerned whether it would sell, it wouldn't sell. I wrote it hoping one more person out there maybe going through what I'm going through, also having a lamentation of some kind, going through some trauma of some kind. And if one person can read it and one person can be helped by my story, that is one person too many. And that was the reason why I wrote Still Standing.